Hello, right, second one in volumes. Second one, 4 volumes. Now this one is going to be cylinders and prisms. Now, if you think back to a lesson that we've done on finding areas of circles and areas of triangles, you need to know that first before you do this one. So if you don't know how to do that, go back and have a look at that one and then come back and rejoin. So first of all, we do prisms. Now, if you remember, a prism was this sort of shape, like the tent or the Toblerone chocolate bar, yeah? Now, to work out the volume of this, what we need is the, the width, so we'll call that 10 centimeters, the length, yeah, the width, the length, call that 20 centimeters, and we also need the height. Exactly the same as the cuboid, yeah? Vertical height, remember? Okay, so exactly the same as the cuboid. Height, width times length. Now, remember when we did the cuboid in the last lesson, what we were doing was say, that's 2 times 2 times 4, and we did 2 times 2 times 4, and we noticed as a byproduct, 16 centimeters squared, cubed even, yeah, we noticed as a byproduct that if we multiplied the two front bits together, the 2 times 2, that equaled 4 centimeters squared. So we found the area of the front. And that's what we've got to do here. We've got to find the area of the front, which is the triangle first, and then multiply it by the length. So area of the triangle is half times the base times the height. Then we're going to multiply that by the length. Yeah, so that's what we do. Do it in that order, and we don't get muddled up. So what do we say the height? Call that 8 centimeters. Yeah. So the volume is going to equal a half times the base, which is the width, times the height, which is 8, times the length, which is 20. And I won't pretend I can do that in my head, not that quickly. So 0.5 times 10 times 8 times 20, 0.5 times 10 times 8 times 20 is 800 centimeters cubed. Yeah. So you find the area of the triangle first. Yeah, that's what you've got to do. It's the same, it doesn't really matter about here, but yeah, if you find the area of the end first and multiply it by the length, you'll find the volume. So if you find the area of the end first and multiply it by the length, you'll find the volume. Again, don't get caught out with any measurements on the sloping side. You're not finding areas of anything. You need the vertical height in order to find the volume. When you get GCSE questions, you've got to work out the vertical height first, but we don't need to do that in functional skills. So there's how to find the volume of a triangle. Now, the other shape that we wanted to do was the volume of a cylinder. The volume of a cylinder. Now, we're going to need the height. We call that 20 centimeters. And remember, we've got to find the area of the end and then multiply it by the height or the length if it's fallen over. Yeah. And in order to find the area of the end, we need to know how to find the area of a circle. So I'll give us some information on there. So that's 20, call that 5, yeah? 5 centimeters. So the volume here is going to be the area of the end, which is, remember, that was pi r squared times the height, times the height. So, I'm going to use the pi button on the calculator. So I'm going to pi times radius squared, which is 5 squared times 20. And 5 squared is 25 times pi. And pi is either the button on your calculator, if they don't give you what it means, what it is, or it could be pi equals 3.14 or something like that. If they tell you it's 3.14, use it. If they don't, use the button on your calculator. Now you can get a good idea that you may have to use the button on your calculator, because they might say give your answer to 2 decimal places. Okay, 2 decimal places. So let's work this out, see what this is. And so I'm going to go shift pi times 25 times 20, which is equal to 1570.796,327. Now, 2 decimal places, I look at that number, and there's the decider on the right. It's 5 or more, so I need to add 1 onto the 9. That makes that 10, so I've then got to add 1 onto the 7 to make that 8. And I'm going to put the 0 in there. I know we don't normally do that, but that's your answer, centimeters cubed to 2 decimal places. The chances are in an exam question that wouldn't happen. They'd make it, 81 or 85 or 49 or whatever it is. Once you've rounded up, they won't make it there at the awkward one. So that's how to find the volume of a cylinder. Now, it may be that you have just an amazingly stupid shape like this, like a big piece of cheese, and that's really a prism as well, yeah? And then some nutcase, yeah, has come along and they've drilled, let's go back in there, they've drilled a hole all the way through, yeah? And they want you to find, I don't know whether you can see that, so you've got this sort of cheese wedge type thing. Someone's come along and drilled a hole all the way through, and we call that the diameter is 2. So the circle diameter equals 2 centimeters. And we'll put some bigger for 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters. We like these numbers, don't we? And call that 12 centimeters. Okay. Now, first of all, you find the volume of, the wedge shape, and then you subtract the volume of the so-called cylinder in the middle, and then that will equal the volume of the wedge shape minus the hole in the middle. Yeah. So let's find the volume of this. So remember, the volume of a triangular prism is going to be half base height times length, which is going to equal a half times the base, which is 12, just happens to be a right angled triangle, 12, times the height, which is 10, times the length, which is 20. So 0.5 times 12 times 10 times 20 equals a lovely healthy 1200 centimeters cubed. Now, give answer to two decimal places, okay? Now, that means we're going to use our pi button to work out the volume of this hole. Right, so the volume of the hole, is going to be pi r squared. That will find us the area of the circle times the length of the actual cylinder in the middle. It's weird because we're finding the volume of like a nothing really. We're finding the volume of the material that's been taken out of the wedge shape. So this will equal pi times the radius is 2 squared times the length, which is 20. Now that will equal pi equals, well, won't equal that, will it? It will be pi times 4, because 2 2's are 4 times 20. So shift pi times 4 times 20, it's 80 times pi, which is, remember we've got two decimal places, so we use all the numbers that we've got, yeah? 251.3274123. Don't worry about all the millions of numbers because it's there in the calculator. So all you've got to do now is 1200 subtract answer, the answer button on your calculator, which takes the answer away from that. So you don't have to type that all in again. So 1200 minus the answer, and that equals, so the wedge with a hole in is 948.6725877. Now, two decimal places, this one. There's our decider. It's too small, forget it. So we're going to just have 948.67 centimeters cubed to two decimal places. Yep. So you can take, you can sort of have combinations of shapes. You could have had a cuboid shape with a cylinder taken out of it, or a cylinder with a, well, it would be a bit complicated, wouldn't it? Or a cuboid shape with a prism thing taken out of it. So you can have combinations. It's quite common to have a question like that. So let's have a look and see what we've got in here. So we got, there, look, there you've got a cylinder with a cuboid. So let's do the top one. Calculate the volume of the prism drawn below. So remember, the volume of the prism is the triangle, which is half base height times the length, which equals a half times the base, which is 7, times the height, which is 3, times the length, which is 4.5. Even if you get these numbers the wrong way round, it doesn't matter. It's all going to come up the same thing. So 0.5 times 7 times 3 times 4.5, which is 47.25, what are they, meters cubed. And this one looks more complicated. Find the volume of a cylinder to one decimal place that has, oh no, there's two different questions. The volume of a cylinder that has a radius of 4 and a height of 7. So the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times the height, which is pi times radius is 4 squared times 7. Okay, so shift pi times 4 fours are 16 times 7 equals 1 decimal place. So we've got 351.8583772. Now 1 decimal place is this one. So look at that, it's a 5, so we're going to make that up to be a 9. So this is now going to be 351.9 centimeters cubed to 1 decimal place. We're out of room here, so let's do a different color. This one, a radius, is pi r squared height, which is equal to pi times radius, 5 5 is 25 times 12 equals, so pi times 25 times 12 is 942.4777. Yeah, so now 1 decimal place, there's the 4, there's the 7 is the decider, so that will go up to 5. So we've got 942.5 centimeters cubed to 1 decimal place. Okay, I hope you've had a go at these before I've done them through. Right, Simone. She drills a circular hole through a block of wood. The diameter of the hole is 1.5 inches. All the things are the same. Then what's the volume of the wood that's left over? So the cuboid volume equals 6 times 1 times 6, which equals 36 inches cubed. Yeah. Now we find the cylinder. So the cylinder volume equals pi r squared times the height, which equals pi r. Diameter of the hole is 1 times 1.5. The diameter. Oh, nearly went wrong. We need the radius, don't we? Half of 1.5 is 0.75 squared times the height times 1, which equals, oh, nearly caught me out there. So shift pi times 0.75 and use the square button on the calculator, and then times 1. Well, didn't need to do that, but there you go. So that comes out as 1.7671 inches cubed. Now the volume of the wood which is left, so the wood volume now is going to be this one, 36, take away 1.7671. Remember that number's still in the calculator, so we're just going to do 36 minus the answer equals 34.2328. Any decimal places mentioned? No. So I'll knock it down to 2 decimal places, which is 34.23 inches cubed to 2 decimal places. So it can get quite tricky, some of these. Okay, yeah, as always, a worksheet, and that's the end of that one. So what have we got next? What we got? Oh, scale drawings. That's a complicated thing. So I'll see you in the next one.